Welcome back to A Moment with Miranda, where we take a few minutes to reset, reflect, and remind ourselves that we are enough. Okay, today is going to be one of those episodes where I might get just a little bit too fired up. And honestly, that's okay. Because I want to talk to you about something that hit me hard. And I have a feeling some of y'all are going to understand exactly why. For those of you who don't know, I am a mom of two beautiful, amazing children, and they make me so happy, and they've taught me so much and so much patience. And I have a 5-year-old daughter, and I have said that one day somebody's going to steal her confidence, and then I'm going to go to jail. Not really, but kind of. But seriously, I feel like that day kind of just showed up, and I want to talk about it because it scared me a lot. I didn't go to jail, though. It was yesterday. And as a parent, I need to talk about it because my whole entire platform is about enoughness. And it's about taking that moment and grounding yourself and remembering who you are when the world tries to make you forget. So, yesterday was the first time that my daughter got to go to a birthday party. She had been invited to a couple others before, but she was either sick or there was another conflict. But this is the first one that she actually got to go to, and she was so excited. And so was I, because I love seeing my daughter have a giant smile on her face and want to do things. She got up for school, got ready, and while I was doing my hair, she was in the bathroom with me, and she looked at me with those beautiful green eyes and said, "Mama, can you straighten my hair like yours?" Because that day I had my straightener out and I was giving myself some straight hair. Now, normally I'm not very much of a put heat on your curls kind of girl. And I also know I'm also not a hypocrite. So my daughter called me out and said, "Well, you're doing it, so why can't I?" So I said yes. And let me tell you something. My daughter has the most beautiful curls ever. They're not like mine. Hers are so gorgeous. Bouncy, magical little ringlets that make you want to cry because they're just so pretty. Makes you want to squeeze her cheeks. Okay, anyway. And she, in my opinion, is the most beautiful little human that I've ever seen in my whole entire life. With that being said, to not be a hypocrite, I did straighten her hair. And because her hair is curly, and because she is little, and because curly hair does what curly hair wants to do, it was not perfectly even when it was straightened. It had never really been cut to be straight, because she honestly has never asked me to do that before. But I digress. None of that really matters. Because she felt beautiful. She was feeling herself. She loved her outfit. She loved her hair. She walked into school with confidence, man. She does this little thing where she goes like this and then a peace sign like right before she walks into the door. It's great. My daughter is amazing. And then I picked her up after school. And I swear to you, I went from having my fun-loving, hippie, peace sign child to somebody completely different. The little girl who had walked into school glowing, happy, and feeling like so beautiful was suddenly completely deflated in a quiet, hurt, and trying not to cry. And then she looked at me as she got in the car and said, "Mama, one of the girls in my class told me that I wasn't beautiful." Okay, we're going to take a breath now because that made my blood boil and my fist clench, and I was ready to go to war, God of War style, okay? And what broke me even more was that she immediately started making excuses. She said it must have been the wind, that maybe the wind had messed up her hair, and that's why she wasn't beautiful anymore, and that she wanted to wear a hat or this or that, and just constant state of what I could have done better to make myself more beautiful. And I just sat there, blood boiling, thinking, how many times as adults do we do that? How many times do we explain ourselves away? How many times do we make excuses as to why we suddenly are not enough or don't look good or this or that? And here was my 5-year-old baby doing the same thing. And in that moment, I was feeling everything all at once. Anger, sadness, fear, they were all taking turns on the council, discussed everything. And if I'm being honest, I was questioning myself. I was thinking, what did I do wrong? Because I have raised this girl to know who she is and walk with that bounce in your step and that beat to that drum that is just yours. We do mirror work. We say we are beautiful. We say we are brave. We say we are smart. We say kind things to ourselves. And I have always taught her that if somebody speaks negatively of you, you never take it as truth. So all of this is just like jumbling through my head, right? And I take a breath and I look at her and I grab her hand and I say, Rosie, listen, do you think you're beautiful? And she looks at me with those big, bright green eyes and said, yes, Mama. Yes, I think I'm really pretty and I absolutely loved my hair today. But everybody told me I wasn't. Now, everybody might be an exaggeration. It might just be the one little girl. But that part hit me in the chest worse than a round of bullets would. And I would take those bullets 10 times over for her not to feel what she was feeling in that moment. Because that is how it starts, isn't it? Not always with one voice, but with a freaking chorus. With people piling on, with one comment becoming a wound because it gets repeated enough times that you think that because it's so loud that it's true. I had to be louder, so I looked at my little girl and I said, baby, the only reason that people say unkind things to others is because they feel some kind of way about themselves. Or because they heard something similar said to them and now they want to pass it on to you because they don't want to carry that alone. But listen to me. You are beautiful. You are the most beautiful girl in the whole wide world to me. And more importantly, you said you think you are beautiful. And that matters more than what anybody else can say, because at the end of the day, your opinion of who you are, honey, is what matters the most. You are the one who has to look at yourself in the mirror. You are the one who has to live with every decision that you make. And you are the one who has to decide what you believe in. And yes, she is 5, but it is true. And so I asked her, I said, what do we say in the mirror, baby girl, every morning? And she said, I'm beautiful. I'm brave. At this point, I pulled down the visor and I said, look at yourself. Keep going. I'm smart. I'm intelligent. I'm driven. I'm enough. And I said, absolutely. Because you are. Ugh. And this was a conversation I had to have with my kid. And then I had to decide what lesson came next, because words in this moment are hard. And now listen, a very, very unhealed part of me wanted to say, and next time you just pop her in the face with your fist. But I didn't. And we did not teach our child violence today. Because that is not what we do. So instead, I told her the truth. When someone says something unkind like that, you tell them, well, I think you're beautiful, just like me, because I am beautiful too. And I'm going to keep being kind and say nice things to you because that's who I am. And then you say, but I'm going to take myself out of this situation, and I hope you have a wonderful day. And y'all, when I tell you the light came back into her eyes, it came back. She looked at me, eyes so wide, and said, you're right, Mom. I'm so beautiful. And I thought, okay, all right. Whew, we're still here. She still knows. It hasn't gone away. We don't have negative self-talk. That's not something that she feels in her chest. And then we got to the birthday party. And because this was the first birthday party she had ever really gotten to go to, I got to stand back and watch her interact with the kids in a way that I had really not gotten to ever see before. We were there for 2 hours. It was kind of awkward. It was hot as hell out. And man, I'm really shocked that I don't look like a lobster today. But I digress. The second that we got there, my daughter, with no tact, pointed out that the little girl who said the things, she gave a nice little point. This is her. Whew. And I did what I preach. And believe me, it was hard. It was hard not to do the bad thing. But I looked at that little girl and I told her, "Oh, I like your dress. You look so beautiful today. And Rosie, look at you. You look beautiful too. You guys go have fun." Because the truth is, little kids do not come up with this kind of meanness out of nowhere. Somewhere, somehow, she learned that. She heard that. She absorbed that. And now she is handing that to somebody else's baby. And I just stood there thinking, healed Miranda and unhealed Miranda would have handled this moment completely and utterly differently. And I'm so happy that healed Miranda showed up to the plate, because the old version of me would have wanted to go to war. I would have brought out the size. I would have destroyed villages. But we healed. Okay? We're not angry. I know that that little girl is a little girl. And that brings me to the real point of this whole episode. Our kids are always watching us. They're watching the way that we talk to ourselves. They're watching the way that we respond when we feel insecure. They're watching the little comments that we make about our weight, our hair, our face, our age, anything, our body, our worth. Every moment that we make, they are looking at us like we are always making the right choices, and they are making every excuse to make sure that we are listening. And they are watching every excuse we make for why we are somehow not good enough, and so they can mirror that. And eventually, they start believing that that is normal. Eventually, they start saying those things to themselves. And sometimes, eventually, they start saying that to somebody else. And that's why this matters. I'm grateful for two things. The first one, I'm grateful that I have done enough work on myself to be able to pour confidence into my daughter and make, in that moment, instead of it being bad or me pouring some kind of pain or adding trauma, that I got to bring her out of it. And second, I'm grateful that she already has that foundation, because confidence is not built in the crisis, it's revealed there. And the reason that I could pull her back to herself was because we practice it every day in the mirror. We do the work. We speak life into ourselves. We choose kindness. We are enough. And listen, that does not mean I have it all figured out. There are still days that I struggle. There are still days that I criticize my body. There are days that I feel tired and frustrated and not my best, and I feel like everything is betraying me. But I am intentional, because little eyes are watching and repeating. And to that mom of that little girl, if you ever hear this somehow, I mean this sincerely. You're beautiful. And I hope you're telling your daughter that every night, because I don't want her growing up thinking and believing that it's okay to tear down others. It's okay to not feel comfortable in your own skin, because she is gorgeous. And so are you. And if you're listening to this as a parent, and even just as a person who's healing your own inner child, hear me when I say this. We have to be careful what we repeat. We have to be careful what we normalize, and we have to be careful what we model, because confidence does not disappear all at once. Sometimes it gets chipped away in tiny moments, a comment here, a laugh there, a moment, a look, a whisper that you can't hear, a repeated lie. And if you're raising children or mentoring them or loving them in any kind of capacity, then your job is not to just protect them from the world. Your job is to teach them how to become who they are and how to come back to themselves when the world gets too loud where they can't hear their own voice. So today, let's let this be a reminder. Say the kind thing to yourself out loud. Do the mirror work. Let your kids hear you believe in yourself. Let them hear you call yourself beautiful. Let them hear you call yourself strong. Let them hear you call yourself enough. Call yourself smart, intelligent, whatever it may be. Because one day, somebody may try to take that light from them. And when that day comes, I hope they know how to turn it back on. Thank you for spending this moment with me. I know I got heated and I know I got preachy, but keep growing, keep believing in your value, and keep reminding yourself that the little ones are watching you and that who they are is more than enough, and they are enough, and you are enough, and everybody is enough. Remember, you were always enough, babe. Always. Mwah.